traders, good morning. How are you? Hopefully everybody is doing well. My name is Jason Krutzky. It is a great pleasure to be here with you all today. Happy New Year, you guys. This is the first office hours live stream that we've done in 2024. Feels good to be here back with you guys again. It's been a bit of a interesting kind of week on my end. Hopefully it's been going well for you guys too. Obviously markets have been kind of selling off this week. Not the greatest look to start the new year, but we did have a huge couple of months leading up to this. So a little bit of pullback, not so bad, not so scary. How are you guys doing today? There are a few of you here. Hit me with your hellos and, tell me who you are. Tell me where you're tuning in from. What's up, Billy? How are you? Hopefully you're well, sir. What's up, Jamel? Whoa, from New Orleans. What's up, man? How are you? How are you guys doing today? What do you guys got your eyes on today? What are you thinking? How you feeling? What are you trading? Anything you did anybody have any particular questions that they were looking to get answered today? These office hour spaces are all about answering your questions about TrendSpider. So that's what we're here to do. If you've got questions, now is the time. I do have a pretty sharp cutoff today. I can hang out for about an hour, and then I gotta keep on keeping on with my day. So what are we doing today, guys? What are we looking at? What are we going over? What's up, Thumbo? How's it going? Gaffney from South Carolina. Smart money going into shipping. Gone parabolic. Like what names? I'm just trying to think of stuff off the top. Seas is one, I think. No, that's SeaWorld. Hit me with some names. Actually, I could do this too. I'm gonna. We have a Wall Street Bets top mentioned, top negative, top positive. These are pre-made watch lists based off of just what's popping off on Wall Street Bets. So yeah, there you go. Zim, that's a big one. I know that's a shipper. Kind of interesting with Zim here, right into previous highs. A decent spot to reject after what, 100% move over the past couple of weeks. I'm sure there will be others though. This was the big one though. This was the name that I remember back in 2021. This was the name that everybody had on their mind, was Zim. Seems a decent idea, maybe from this gap down. Anchored VWAP and see, yeah. So there's your anchored VWAP from this gap down back in November of 2020. Holy moly. So this is over a year's worth of buyers here owning this thing at about a $15.50 average. Might also be worth it. I like fibs, you guys know. See where your fib is. Your 50% retrace is right there too from your May 2023 high. So anyway, needless to say, decent spot to potentially take some profits. You figure coming into those old highs, there's probably a lot of stops up here from shorts. So maybe you get some covering into this. You got the old high, you got the 50% retrace, you got the anchor VWAP from the gap down. Pretty decent place for things to pause at least momentarily. Where's your 200-day Also, let me do some things here. I want to see what strength is looking like going into this move. So not quite a divergence, but almost. So slight weakening going into it. Volume obviously is telling, huge volume. So that's good. Oh, you need me to increase the volume on my voice. Let's see here. How's this? Is that a little bit better? Sorry about that. Yeah, this was actually, last time I recorded anything was for a video, and things get very loud when I start recording for videos. So thank you for the heads up on that. Apologies. Is the correction done for QQQ? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's see what's up here. I'm just going to zoom out really quick. I want to see where those old highs are. So this is what we were kind of highlighting last week. This is what I was looking at last week. You've got this rising wedge. They came right up into the top of it and rejected. So you've got the bottom of the wedge here at like 384. You got the bottom of the wedge at 384. You got a 50% retrace of this move from October at 377.68. That's on the weekly. If we drop down to the daily, let's just see where, I'm just going to check and see where a handful of moving averages are. Just kind of the main ones. Just do like 10, 20, 50, 100, 200. So below the 10 and the 20, you've got the 50-day at 390. You've got the 100-day at 380. You've got the 200-day at 362. Measure a fib from that most recent swing. And so this is probably part of why we're bouncing today, would be my assumption here. You've got the 50% retrace of this most recent swing. And they came right into it, tested it, and trying to hold it here. So for me, what would maybe be a little bit concerning in the near term, in the short term, is that you made a new low. So for those of you who are like ICT traders, this to me would be a break of structure, at least on a small time frame. If you add Zigzag, let's see if Zigzag even identifies it. Zigzag may not see it. Yeah, so the Zigzag preset doesn't identify this as a pivot. If we were to adjust the depth setting, maybe make it a little bit smaller. Nope, still doesn't see it. So perhaps I'm wrong here. Let's take it even smaller. Nope, never sees it. Okay, so if we were to go to a smaller time frame, nope, doesn't see it yet. Yeah, so there it is. So on a small time frame, on the hourly, for those of you who are, like I said, ICT, interested in market structure type concepts, you've got to break a structure here, right? You lost the low that brought you up. So then what that would set up to me is a potential failure somewhere up in here. Doesn't mean it will, but you do have a gap to fill. So you would want to see all of this stuff reclaimed. You'd really just need to see new highs. And until they're able to do that, then you kind of have to assume the potential for lower in the nearer term. But they might bounce it, and they might come up and try and test this low that they lost here at 402. They might try and test these highs up here at 410. It's hard to say. Smart money going into Baidu. Yeah, so I've been hearing quite a bit about the potential for a move into some China names. This is China, right? Let me go to a weekly here. Oh, that's not much of a move. I don't know, in the big grand scheme, maybe it's popping right now, but let's pull out a little bit and go to the hourly. They've been making relatively consistent higher lows. Potentially they'll come up and run this high. Yeah, JJ, I don't know. They bought Joy? What's Joy? Why? Is that what you mean? Nope. This shipper deal is interesting, though. Let me see if we have a watch list for shippers. No. Marine transportation. Here we go. Here's your watch list for shippers. It's just called marine transportation. Didn't know that. Actually, let's filter by percentage change. Wow, quite a few names popping, huh? Let's go to the dailies and see if we can find anything that looks interesting. Oh my god. All right, so we looked at Zim. Whoa, look at this. Holy moly, LPG. Wow. So in a scenario like this, we might want to measure the fibs from the previous all-time high down to the low. Let's see where that 1.618 is. So they're past the 1.618. They're past the 2. 2.618 perhaps? Where's that guy at? Next target. $57. What a monster. Holy moly. No one talking LPG. Not on my timeline, but they should be. Wow. So what else is out there that has that potential is the question. So many of these things look terrible. I wonder, I don't know the answer to this, but I wonder if cruise lines have any sort of, wow, TDW too, same idea. Do cruise lines get any sort of moves when the shippers are running? This TDW and LPG, geez, these guys are just monsters. You bought Fang February calls today. Fang's energy, right? TNK kind of in the same realm as Zim, coming into previous highs. You know what else I'm kind of curious about? Let's see something. Let's see what seasonality is like for these things. Do they tend to have strong... Do they tend to have strong Januaries? So no. So this is interesting, right? Like, these names have a tendency to perform really poorly. Let's see. I'm just going to click through and I'm just looking right here at this panel just to see how they tend to do this month. CPLP, Capital Product Partners. That doesn't seem like a... Cruise season just started. Interesting. Costa Mare. This one's kind of interesting. Up and over anchor view up from the IPO back in 2011. Making a higher low here. Zoom in a little. Holding that 618 retrace, really nice too. And strong seasonality over the next couple of months. I wonder. See if there's anything interesting coming in on the options chain for CMRE. Nothing in the past like 2 days, but we had a couple of big ticket orders. They're not that big. They're both bearish sweeps, huh? Costa Mare, this is kind of interesting one. Let's see if want to see when their next earnings announcement is. Next earnings announcement's in about a month, so you got a little time on that. Are insiders doing anything? No data. Bummer. So back in November, kind of at the end of November, at the lows. Well, no, I take that back. It wasn't at the lows. But these guys definitely ushered in some nice buying. They must have had some news on this particular day. You had quite a bit of call orders coming in. And the thing ramped $9 to what, $11? Let's look at Sofi. I'm gonna add this to the watch list. Let's see here. Sofi had an interesting spot, big fair value gap that they're filling right now, or that they're trying to fill right now. Again, same idea. At that 50% retrace, in between 50 and 0.618. So a decent spot for them to try and hold it is kind of in here. If they start failing below, you got to expect them to come down to the bottom of the range. They failed to make a new high. So technically we are in a downtrend, right? At least on the daily. You got your high here, you got a failure here. Let's zoom out a little. Let's see what this looks like. Insight on the month so far. Huge month last month though, that's for sure. So kind of a little cup and handle trying to break, but still forming that handle. Zoom in a little. Yeah, so this feels to me just like a pretty decent little retrace. Let's see. What was this move? Off the lows. So 64% basically off the November 20 lows. The week of the November 20. So this thing ran 64% in a month. And now it's given half of it back. Hard to buy it today. I'd be looking for like a hammer next week. I'd be looking for them to come in and like kind of take out some more of these lows. Maybe this one. Or even this one too. Put in a little hammer guy, some sort of reversal candle next week, and then look for it to turn. Hard to take a long on it as it is right now. Perhaps when so you've got this gap down from the 3rd. See if they can gain that. I'd be either looking for some sort of washout opportunity next week, or I'd be looking for them to regain this gap down anchored VWAP. If they can regain it, if they can hold, you know, even if they spend a little time kind of like floating around it, if they could do that, it'll start to curl up a little. Those are kind of the two things I'd be keeping an eye on for looking for longs on it. Still low, Bill? I turned it up. Hold on. Let me turn it up higher. Is that better? How's that? Is that a little bit better? Wow, there are a bunch of you guys here. Anybody who's here who hasn't said hello, please say hello. Bill, thank you for tuning in. I've just been kind of jamming around on some charts, but y'all are here for a reason. So hit me with what you got. Do you guys have questions about TrendSpider? Did you come here looking for answers? Because really that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to give you guys answers to the questions that you've got. So if you have questions, please ask them. The chat is wide open. You're welcome to ask whatever you want. If this is your first time tuning in, let me know. What's up, Voss? How are you? Okay, great. So we sound good now. Good deal. Yeah, no problem at all. What brings you guys here today? A couple of new names that I've not seen before. JJ, I've never seen you here before. Thumbo, never seen you here. Jamel, I think I've seen you. Billy, I know I've seen you. But Bill, you're new. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you're not already, ooh, I might sneeze. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. You know, everybody likes the numbers going up and to the right. So the more you guys can subscribe, or the more subscribers we get, the easier it is for me to continue getting to do these things. So hit me with a like, hit me with a subscribe. What's up, Dennis? You're new as well. We got a bunch of new people here today. So what are you guys doing here? How can I help you? I'm here to answer your questions. So what's the story behind these shippers moving? Is it, I need to look into this because I haven't really paid any attention to this. But it's very interesting because there are a lot of them that are really doing well. Royal Caribbean coming into old highs. A lot of bottoming, a lot of like big accumulations, huh? Coming off of big accumulations. Makes me want to, let me do something real quick. I'm going to add a 30-week SMA onto the chart. For anybody who is not familiar, 30-week or 150 SMA, Weinstein stage analysis is a pretty interesting little concept. So that's why I'm adding it. So I want to see where these things are relative to that. Shipping has an ETF. You just renewed your TrendSpider subscription. Right on, Bill. So glad to have you. Let's take a look at Tesla really quick. Oh, so it's breaking down. I mean, so Tesla's a really interesting chart to me. If we want to start on the monthly here, to me, is a giant head and shoulders playing out really, really nicely. But I don't think that I see it the same way that most people see it. So you've got your shoulder. And some people would point to this as being the other shoulder, but to me, that's not correct. Because what we just talked about with the idea of a break of structure. And so the break of structure really came here from the bottom of this shoulder. So you've got your left shoulder, and we're gonna zoom in, but I'm just gonna talk about this for a second. You've got your left shoulder here. You broke the neckline here with these guys, and so that set up the retest of the shoulder to fail, which is here, and here's your failure. That also aligned really nicely with this high, this previous high, failure at this previous high. So multiple lower highs being made here. I don't know. Does it set up Be curious to know what you guys think. Does it set up this? Is it possible that Tesla can go back to $100? Do you guys think? I know that it would be a, it's probably not, it probably doesn't jive with most assumptions on the street. So now we're going to zoom in a little. I'm going to go anchored view app from a couple of places, from the near term high in July, and then from your all-time high in November 2021. I'm going to zoom down to the weekly. Let's remove this guy. So now, what is this? Let me take off this 30 week. Actually, I might want to put that back up. So you've got the anchored VWAP from the all-time high is where we're holding right now. I mean, it is the low of this week, basically, is the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. So that's probably a pretty key little spot. But we are weekly. We're in a downtrend, are we not? Lower highs, lower lows. If they fail this high, then you have to assume that they're going to go try and test something quite lower, which they've done so far. One key sign, I think, would be the failure of your anchored VWAP from the all-time high. This guy right here. Oops, wrong arrow. A bit of a broken record, but here's your fibs from the swing low in October. Got a 50% retrace at 229.60. 618 retrace at 221.21. If this thing fails below this anchored VWAP, 236.5 or so, 236.75, you might be looking for that 50% retrace or that 0.618 retrace. If they can regain this anchored VWAP from the high, from this near-term high, July 17th, then perhaps it comes in and acts as support and it can continue higher. But let's look at seasonality real quick. Seasonality since 2010. January is an okay month, 57% win rate. February, not so great, 46% win rate. And it continues kind of to slowly decline through the summer. We usually have a pretty decent July. That's coming off a pretty weak month of May. And where this thing really struggles is September, October. It's worth it to look at Tesla options here. So I'm using the assistant to pull this up for me. So this is all Tesla unusual options. Oh, oops, I clicked off Tesla, my bad. So when it comes to Tesla, I want to be looking for quite higher premiums. And I can do that. I can filter this if I wanted to. If you click on the three dots right here. So I'm going to click on that real quick and then go to filter. And I'm going to say add filter. And here I'm going to say premium. And I'm going to say greater than or equal to, let's say $500,000. Just want to look for quite bigger orders here. So only one above a $500,000 order has come in today. That's a bearish sweep on the January 2026 200 puts. So these are super leaps. Way the heck out. But we've had quite a few items come in this week. Got the January 2025 240 put. Almost $200 million spent on that particular order. Did I say 200 million? I meant 2 million. Yeah, so this is really all we got this week. These are the big ones this week. 1.3 mil bullish trade, July 19th, 2024. So July this year, the 240 put. Nothing super alarming. These super out of the money, or not super out of the money, but super way out in time leaps. I don't know. But on the weekly here, I think your big spot, and there may be some other stuff too. Let me actually, I'm going to throw back up that 30-week SMA and see where we're at. So if this were like a Weinstein stage analysis, if we were doing Weinstein stage analysis on this, this is actually a potential long opportunity. In Weinstein stage analysis, we're watching that 30-week SMA. So this would be your stage 4 downtrend. Here's your stage 1 breakout. And now we're kind of in the middle of stage 2. We're kind of like chopping around this. And we might be even getting into stage 3 now. We might be starting to get into the rollover phase. Usually in stage 2, you really want to see price stay above that 30-week SMA for a period of time. But, you know, does it have to? Can it reverse? Of course, you know, news can change things. But you have the big breakout. Here's your stage 1. You get the breakout, you get the retest. It holds. So now you're kind of into stage 2 through here. We really got to see this hold for this to continue. But trend is suggesting otherwise. Trend is really suggesting you got a high, you got a lower high, you got a lower high. Trend is kind of suggesting a continuation of this. If you go to the daily, turn off that moving average. So we're right at the 200-day SMA today too, huh? That's where they're catching a bid, or that's where they're trying to hold it. So you've got the 200 SMA and you've got the anchored view up from the all-time high. That white, I'm gonna turn this back on and change the length to 200 just so it's easier to see. Oh wait, hold up. Oh, these are EMAs. Got it. So it's a 200 EMA. Is right there. There's your 200 SMA. Yeah, I don't know. Tesla in a tricky spot. Tesla in a really tricky spot. It's kind of like mid-range. Take a look at the 30-minute? Sure. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. Yeah, really nice little capitulation. Lose the lows. Wipe everybody out. You know you had a bunch of stops here. Right? So wick through, take the stops, and reverse it. Is there like a V-shaped? Yeah. Nice. Certainly a great trade today for anybody who took the longs. And if it does continue higher, again, fibs for potential levels higher. Yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, if they get above 240, I mean, they've got these highs to contend with, right? Just in the near term, they've got these highs to contend with. And then here was your low beforehand. So they took the lows. Maybe they come and they take the highs. But then you've got, essentially, you've gone outside, right? You've kind of like engulfed the low and the high. So then your potential, I think your potential then is more for sideways, a bit of sideways consolidation, a bit of a breather. But so far on a bigger time frame, Here's your most recent low and your most recent high. I don't know. Look at this, though. Generally, you want to see price holding for a continuation. You want to see price holding this range, like this 50% to 0.618 retrace. You want to see price able to hold this. Doesn't mean that they can't run it and consolidate and continue. They totally can. But for a continuation higher, just generally speaking, you take the swing, your nearest low, your nearest high, measure a fib, and you want to see this area hold. If they can't hold 0.618, like they lost 0.618 and they retested it and failed and made a new low. So I personally, my expectation would be at least a test of these lows. You also have, it's kind of a loose interpretation, but you also have this. You know, you might come down into this area here. You have a fair value gap. It's very small, but we can see it. I'm just going to put like 0.1. There. You've got this little fair value gap that could be filled right here. And that does align with your inverted head and shoulders. And the reason why this is interesting, if you're interested in this kind of price action trading, the reason why this is interesting is because here is, oops, wrong thing. Here's your pivot that took you to the low, right? This pivot took you to the low. And then this pivot was gained. We've made new highs here, all through here. So just like we saw on the bigger time frame on that monthly chart, you had a break of structure here. They broke structure, they held it, they made a new high, they tried to hold it again, they failed. So this is where I'd be looking. And the reason why I like this is because you're in this short-term uptrend, even though you're in a longer-term downtrend, technically. You're in this shorter-term uptrend where you've made new highs. If they hold this, then that would set up the expectation of another new high. Back to like 270, just to take out this one is what they would set up. And your stop loss is 227. So you're trying to take a long around 232, your stop loss 228, and your expectation or your target's 270. And why I like that so much, I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is not financial advice. But the reason why I like this setup is because your R is a monster, right? Your R is how much you're risking versus how much you're standing to gain. So if they end up holding here and bouncing, and that sets up your expectation of a new high, your R is like almost 6. You're stopping below this low, you're targeting a new high. So this is a really nice R value because you're wrong quickly or you're right and it just maybe, I'm not saying it's going to get there immediately, but I'm not saying it's going to get there at all. It could totally fail on the way. But this is how I think about things. And I'm always thinking in terms of R. I don't know if you guys think in terms of R, but if you don't, I would encourage you to add thinking in terms of R to your 2024 trading plan. If you can think in terms of R, you can always be thinking about how to survive. AMD is up triple digits. You got to sell a couple and hold one. House money. Let's take a look at AMD. Wow. Almost back to all-time highs. Very impressive. Let's jump down to the weekly here. Looks like I had a line drawn on the daily. So, again, another little fair value gap that they filled. Turn them back on. There it is, right here. So they filled the fair value gap. Pretty nice. But ultimately failing to make some proper new highs. At least relative to the previous ones. You've got this guy here. And of course, the all-time high around here. So I would agree with you, Billy. Decent place to maybe take a few off. Well, a couple days ago anyway. So, all right. So we got, like I said, we do have quite a few new people here. Did you guys come here for any particular reason? I'm gonna keep on nudging you, trying to get it out of you. Are you here just to like hang out and look at charts? Or are you here because you're curious about something TrendSpider related? Same look here on AMD though as with Tesla, huh? They kind of scoop those lows. It's a bigger time frame, but scoop the low and reverse. You do have that gap above. I'd be looking here too. Your retraces. Came in for Jason time. Let's go, daily stock picks. What's up, man? Did you have a good New Year? Did you have a good holiday? David, you're setting up various trading strategies with zigzag lines, consistently getting error messages. Talk me through what you're doing. Are you saying you're trying to use zigzag in the strategy tester? I don't know if that's possible. All right, it is possible. Interesting. Let me see something real quick. Can I define? Yeah, so here's the thing. When you go to a scanner, the scanner, let me see. So see how in the scanner you can define the, and let me just show you actually. Hold up. So when you have the levels turned on the indicator itself, you're able to access A, B, C, D, and E. You're able to access the horizontal levels in the scanner. If I go to the strategy tester though, unless something has changed. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the problem. The problem with Zigzag So, David, the problem with Zigzag is that it is not continuous. This is why you're getting this issue. I'm actually surprised that this is available. I need to contact the dev team and let them know that this really shouldn't be available until continuous Zigzag is available. So let me do something here real quick. I'm just going to turn off everything else. Oh, shoot. Because I just want to see Zigzag. So on Zigzag, on Zigzag, you've got A, B, C, D, and E. Let me actually make these visible so that you guys can see them. It's the dark charts. All right, so you got A, B, C, D, and E, right? But you don't have F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, right? Like you don't have, it's not continuous. Every single time a new horizontal level gets created, they get pushed forward. So A becomes B, B becomes C, C becomes D, D becomes E, and E goes away. This is why it's not working for you. This is why, David, because it's not continuous. The strategy tester has no way to know over time, over history, you have these pivots moving. I understand that's really frustrating, and as a guy who utilizes these concepts constantly in my trading, I want so badly for this to be possible, but it's not possible. That's why you're getting that issue. So I'm just going to do something really quick. So presumably we're just going to go to I'm just going to grab this one, save it as a template. Structure, example, and say save. And then I'm going to go to my strategy tester and, oops, input, structure, example. Say choose, and let's just say, I don't know, number of candles passed. And I presume I'm going to get the exact same issue as you're getting. Huh. I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to Dev about this because it's always been my assumption that these things do not work. Let me just try something. I don't know. Let me just do this. I'm just doing just a little test. I don't believe I should get any results here. Oh. Interesting. Either that or it's only, okay. So, all right. So I do get a result, but it's only for the current position. And that makes sense because, again, continuousness. I don't have a continuous option. So anyway, David, unfortunately, sir, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, especially when it comes to this particular thing. I would love to be able to run tests on this. Now you can, in theory, you can utilize other items, like, for example, dungeon channels. David, are you familiar with dungeon channels? Oh, you're looking for zigzag line increasing. Simply zigzag increasing. Interesting. All right, let's look at this again. Oh, wow, that is frustrating. And then let's say number of candles passed. All right, so David, check this out. So all I've done here is I've said that zigzag line is greater than zigzag line 1 candle ago. I'm exiting 30 candles later. Or I could even say exit when, let's do this. Zigzag line less than indicator zigzag line 1 candle ago. This seems to work. Tried combining it with fractals. The thing that's tricky with this is that the zigzag doesn't print instantly. You get errors with bots. So I presume that has to do with how the zigzag prints. I'll need to talk to Deb about that, David. I've never even thought about utilizing zigzag in the way that I just did. Seems like, I don't know, this kind of seems like it shouldn't work. Because essentially you just get this. You just get a, you know, it's buying long. It's capturing every single long opportunity and getting out at every single pivot. What I don't know is, so we're 2 candles in. This is what's problematic to me about this. And again, I'm going to have to talk to Dev about it to like wrap my head around what's happening here and why it's not working with your strategy. David, if you want to follow me on Twitter and we could talk about this offline. There's my Twitter handle if you have Twitter. What I'm not sure about here is, like, we're getting in because this is strategy testing. It's just looking back, right? And the reality is that this line, this pivot line, didn't really exist here. It probably didn't exist until closer to here or here, like when the new high was made. And I'll have to confirm that. But you could see it clear. We don't have that new pivot yet. Like the math hasn't added up to give us this pivot line, to draw this line yet. So how could we possibly be in an entry? We're not, right? But in retrospect, we would have been. We got into one here because it increased. And we got into one here because it simply increased. But this is backwards looking. So it doesn't really work. And it's going to be based on, yeah, I don't know. I had to talk to Dev about it and see if there's a way. James is here. James is head of our customer success team. Yeah, what we need to do, what I need to know is specifically when, or what really both of us need to know is specifically when the zigzag is going to paint the next line. It hasn't painted the next line yet. And because it hasn't painted the next line yet, we're not in a position yet. But in retrospect, we would be because it increased, you know? So like if there was a whole nother set of price action here, the bot would print us as being in right here, but we're not in at all. So I'll need to ask about it. You want to know the math that is required to print this green line is essentially what we need. And this is just Zigzag. Zigzag's available on every, you know, there's lots of information on the internet about Zigzag, and you could probably find the math of it all. Let's see, actually. Let me see if I can't find something really quickly. Yeah, it looks kind of complicated, just from what I'm seeing online. Oh, excuse me. So it says choose a starting point, swing high or low, choose percentage price movement. That's your depth. But depth is not a percentage, I don't think. And I'll have to ask about that too, because I honestly am not sure. I almost wonder how deviation, I'm not even certain. Let's say like 5 or 6. All right, so we'll go back to 1. Let's say 5 or 6 here. Yeah, so backstep doesn't really change anything. But your depth definitely does. But even still, it doesn't matter because the issue still is present. I don't know. Hit me on Twitter. Depth might be number of candles back. I'm honestly uncertain. I tend not to do too much in terms of changing the basic settings. Let me see. You're probably right, though. It's the minimum number of bars without a second maximum or minimum deviation of the bar. Yeah, right. So number of candles back. Holy moly, y'all, it's been an hour. David, follow me on Twitter. I'm going to talk to Deb about this and see if I can get any extra information for you. Last call for questions. Does anybody have anything? If nothing, no problem. I hate to leave so soon, but so much to do today. Want to give a big thank you to everybody who tuned in. It was a very successful first show of 2024. We will get back on track and on schedule with doing these things regularly next week. I will probably be live Monday, Wednesday, Friday is the loose plan. That's the thing, isn't it? I hope that everybody has an awesome weekend, first weekend of 2024. And again, thank you so much for being here with me today. If you have any questions, do feel free to hit me up. My Twitter handle is @KrutzkyTrades. Just scroll up on the chat there. You'll see it. If you need something, I'm your guy. Write me a message, DM me. My DMs are open. Until then, until next week, like I say, I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure chatting with some new folks today. David, who else? Billy, good to see you again. Daily Stock Picks, of course. Great to see you, brother. Who else? Jamel, great to see you. Dennis, thanks for being here. Bill, thanks for being here. Voss, thanks for being here. JJ, I think that's everybody. Thumbo. It's been good hanging. I appreciate y'all. And again, like I say, holler at me if you need me. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.